Welcome to Running Shoes and Training Talk. Not the best title, but it's the one I'm going to work with now. What this series will be a continuation of what I did with the training videos for my New York City Marathon build. But since I'm not really building towards anything specific at the moment, these videos are going to be a little bit different. I'm not a training channel, I'm a shoe tech channel, running shoe tech, running shoe reviews. So I'm never going to make content talking about this is the best workout to hit this goal, etc. There's tons of other channels that talk about that. That's not me. But I am a runner who's run a long time, and I've learned a lot via running, cycling, endurance sports, and I do want to share that stuff. But like I said, since I'm not training for anything specific, there's no build with goals and things I'm struggling with, what I'm going to do instead in this series is talk about that stuff via the shoes I'm running in, because that's why everyone's here. You're here to hear me talk about shoes. The other change to this will be, this is much more off the cuff. I have no monitor, I have no script, I have no notes in front of me. I have a bunch of shoes that I'm going to talk about. But it's just a place for me to really just nerd out about shoes in a much, less strict format. So I'm excited about that. The last thing that these videos will do will give me a place to talk about updates to the channel, what I'm thinking, what I'm working on, what's coming next. Stuff that I don't really have another place to do, but I'll do here. Now, if you're interested in following this stuff even more closely on a daily basis, follow me on Strava or follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be more active on Instagram in 2024. YouTube is still going to be my primary platform, but I'll post more sort of daily or weekly stuff over on Instagram. And then Strava, you'll be able to see what I'm running in, the routes I'm running in, the shoes I'm running in, which will give you sort of a good preview to what's coming up on the channel. I think yesterday actually was 5 weeks being back here in Taiwan from New York City. Now, New York City Marathon was on November 5th. I was in the race I wanted. It was the race I got. I blew up. If you want to hear that whole story, I'll put the playlist to the training series in the description. Again, watch the final video if you want to see what happened. But that all the videos in that series, there's 6 of them, kind of tell you the whole story, what I was doing. But after the marathon that following week, I really didn't run. My legs were shot for a couple days. And then being in New York City, my wife and I had a lot of stuff to do. So I just kind of took that week off. I did do one run that week, which I did record, and it's on this channel. It's the Prospect Park video, the As Seen On video, the running footage videos that I do, which I know very few people watch, but I love those videos. I love doing those videos. And when I first concepted this channel, that video format was one of the videos I wanted to do. I just love sharing the routes that are really important to me and that I love. And I know the people who watch those really like them, but it's very few. That's totally fine. But I did run that week after the marathon to record that video because I really wanted to record all of that route, because that route was so important to me. I spent so many years running that stuff that I wanted to capture and put it on this channel. So got back to Taiwan, and that was about, 4 weeks ago. This time of year in Taiwan, which is November, December, is generally kind of one of the best times of year to run here. Our temperatures are in the mid to upper 20 Celsius. So that's in the 70s, maybe low 80s. We've had, some summer weather. We had almost a 30-degree Celsius day 2 days ago. That's upper 80s, lower 90s Fahrenheit. But it's just beautiful weather to run in. So this is typically the time of year that I just enjoy running. I don't need to suffer like I was through the summer. And when I got back to Taiwan, I immediately jumped into this shoe, the Novablast 4. Now, you've seen a ton of content on this channel about this shoe. And it took me about 2.5 weeks of running in this shoe, plus running in the Super Blast, the Novablast 3, the Invincible 3, the Vomero 17, to do all those kind of comparisons and all the stuff I did around this shoe. I still think this is a beautiful shoe. I love this shoe. I'm actually surprised how much I like this shoe for a ton of reasons I talked about in those videos. And again, I'll put a link to all of those in the description. But this is the problem I have with max stack, rockered, max cushion shoes, is that after running in this type of shoe for more than 1 or 2 runs over like a 10-day period, my feet will let me know. I ran in this shoe pretty much exclusively for 2.5 weeks. So that is 14 runs for me, 15 runs for me. So I ran in this shoe or the Super Blast Invincible, all those other max cushion, heavily rockered shoes. The problem I run into when I spend too much time in a shoe like this, and it doesn't matter if it's hard, if it's soft, if there's some flex, it's more the rocker and the stack of the foam, is that my big toe joints will tell me. So I have something called hallux limitus. I've talked a lot about this on the channel already. And what that means is I have limited mobility in the big toe, the major joint of my big toe, the second joint. My range of motion is only about 25 to 30 degrees. A normal, healthy range of motion is probably 45 plus. I don't have something called hallux rigidus, which means I have no range of motion. But the limited range of motion that I do have, I need to work hard to maintain. I need to, do a lot of exercises, just really focus on making sure I'm maintaining that toe mobility. And if I'm running in a shoe like this too much, it immediately goes away. And it will tell me my toe will be sore. Once my toe gets sore, then my arches get sore because now my foot has to compensate because I can't toe off. Because in a running shoe, when you toe off, you're generating most of your force, most of that power off your big toe. Again, another reason I don't like heavily rockered shoes because they don't let me do that. They just sort of roll forward, which is cool. There's a place for that, but I don't want to run in that very often. And I don't think many people should. But when I'm running too much in this, my big toe gets sore, which then, makes my arch sore, which I can feel plantar fasciitis coming on, which then makes my Achilles sore, which then makes my calf sore. Like it just, it goes all the way up my leg and it's just kind of a mess. So after 2.5 weeks of running in this shoe and all the other ones I mentioned, my feet were done. They were just like, no more. And I love the Novablast 4. I think this shoe probably is the best max cushion, heavily rockered, max stack shoe that's out there. And I think in 2024, it's going to be hard to beat this. I'm going to try some other ones, things we saw at TRE and some other things I'm assuming will come out. But I think it's going to be hard to beat this. It is a very good shoe. But my feet were just like, no more, we're done. And, my best medicine for that was to go to this, the Adios 8. Now, I love this shoe. I cannot express how much I love this shoe. When this shoe came out, I think back in June, I covered it. I did initial impressions and I did some comparison videos between this and the Streakfly and the Takumi Sen 9. I love this shoe, but as the summer progressed, I just found less and less need to be running in the shoe because I knew I wasn't going to be racing New York City in anything Adidas. So I didn't need to be training in anything Adidas. It's kind of why I didn't get the Boston 12, though there are other reasons. And it's kind of why you didn't see a lot of Adidas content on this channel in the summer. And in fact, in the first video of the marathon training series, I talked about at length why I wasn't going to be running in Adidas stuff. So if you're interested, go to the first video in that playlist. You'll get the whole story. But after my feet were super sore from the Novablast 4, coming back to this shoe, it was just like my feet were both like, yes, thank you. And I realized how much I really love this shoe. This shoe is brilliant, and I feel like everyone should run in this shoe. Low stack, traditional flex, not a lot of rocker, flexible, beautiful Light Strike Pro. It does have the torsion system, but honestly, after the first couple runs, you don't really notice this anymore. It kind of just softens up and goes away. Just a great shoe for working on foot strength, building that strength in my big toe, because this shoe is really forcing me to work hard. And one of the things I love about this shoe so much is this giant piece of rubber in the forefoot. This may be too much rubber up here, and I'll admit that, but it feels so good. It makes this shoe so versatile. So when you, as a forefoot striker, when I'm up on my toes and I'm hitting the ground, my foot strike is clean. I'm strong. I'm doing well with it. This shoe it's so fast. It's so easy to run and it's so smooth. Immediately though, once I fatigue or I get a little sloppy with my foot strike and I'm landing a little bit further back, it'll let me know to get up on my toes again. And I love that shoe because traditionally December, January is the time of year that I focus on mechanics. I focus on working on my foot strike, building foot and leg strength, all that stuff you've heard me talk about on the channel a lot. And this is going to be one of those important shoes for me to do that. Now, the other thing, and you've probably seen this already on the channel, is the other shoe I'm running in a lot right now is this, the Nnormal Kjerag. Trail shoe. Yeah, trail. So, I just put out my 50-mile review of the shoe. I think this is a beautiful shoe. It's a brilliant shoe. I think it's a really fascinating shoe. And I think Nnormal's a really interesting company from shoe tech and what they're doing with shoes. But also trail running, I think this is a absolutely brilliant shoe. But as just a running shoe, as a low stack, minimal shoe, road running in this thing, it's beautiful. So, pairing these two shoes together for a lot of the running I'm doing right now, which is again focused on mechanics, foot strength, leg strength, these two shoes are working really well together. Now, trail shoe. So let's talk about trail running. While the beginning of the channel here in 2023, I've been focused exclusively on road running, I do have a long background with trail. A lot of hiking, ultralight hiking, bordering on fast packing, section hiking. I raced mountain bikes for a long time, so I spent a lot of time in the trail. I even as a child grew up in the mountains, in a forest, on a dirt road. The first 11 years of my life were pretty much exclusively on dirt. So I've spent a lot of time on trail. And I've actually done a lot of trail running. It's just something I've never really talked about on this channel. So now that, I'm looking at 2024 and I have no races scheduled. It's interesting mentally for me because, for the past 4 years, I've been really focused on the New York City Marathon. Every year I've been deferring it, and finally 2023 I managed to do it because of travel restrictions, the pandemic, all this stuff that we've dealt with the past few years. I've been focused on that race for so long, and even when I was here in Taiwan, when I couldn't leave Taiwan, I still raced here. I did Taipei Marathon, I did half marathons here, I still road raced here because again I was focused on just building towards New York City. New York City's done. Didn't go the way I wanted, but it's done. And I don't have a race for 2024. I did have lottery entries for Tokyo, Berlin, and Chicago. I didn't get any of them. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not focused on training for something in the fall that's road racing oriented. And that's kind of liberating. That's making me kind of think about, okay, what do I actually want to run on? What do I actually want to cover in running? I'm a runner. I love running. Track, road, trail. I don't care. I love to run. I don't look at them as little segments where oh, I'm a road runner. I can't go on trail or I can't do track. I don't do a lot of track because I just don't have access to one. But, it's one of the things I didn't like in cycling was that if you were a roadie in cycling, you never rode a mountain bike. Or as a roadie, you didn't touch fixed gears. I was a fixed gear rider. I liked road bikes. I like mountain bikes. I like what I like. And with running, I like to run. And I want to run where I want to run. So that's a long-winded way of saying that I'm going to be covering trail shoes a lot more starting in 2024. Training-wise, I'm also really enjoying trail running because, again, it's this time of year, December, January, I'm really focused, like I said, on mechanics, building strength, foot, leg strength. And post New York City, I know I need to work more on quads, glutes, hips. I need to work more in that region. Running on trail, particularly the super technical, very steep trail that I have here to run in Taipei, that is probably the best place to go do a lot of that stuff. Now, I'm currently running about 3 to 4 days a week on trail and then 2 days a week on road. So I run 6 days a week. Again, if you're really interested in what I do on a daily basis, follow me on Strava, link in the description. But I'm doing the bulk of that running in this shoe, the Nnormal Kjerag, because minimal, low stack shoe. The foam in the shoe is something really unique and special. The construction of this shoe is incredible. And I love it as a running shoe, not just a trail shoe. In fact, I kind of want to get another pair of these just to use for road running. That's how much I love this shoe. So trail running is something I'm going to cover more. And over the next few months, you're going to see more trail shoe reviews, because the other thing with trail running right now is that there's a lot of really interesting tech happening in trail running, because at the end of 2022, early 2023, the first wave of like super shoes for the trail sort of came into trail running. And they were literally sort of carbon copies of road super shoes with lugs on them. Weren't very good, but since then, a lot of the designers for trail shoes have really begun experimenting with some of the tech. And there's a lot of crazy tech going on in trail shoes right now, which for me as a shoe nerd, I think is fascinating. But I think it's stuff that's going to trickle back into road shoes. And a shoe that I think has a lot of that is actually this, the Nike Ultrafly, which is something I'm currently working on. The next video on this channel will be my initial impressions review of the shoe. Now, this shoe was very polarizing across a lot of different shoe tube run influencer communities, but I'll talk more about that in the initial impressions video, which will be coming out next video on the channel. But this is a shoe that I think is a good example of a company, Nike, who has probably the best super shoes still, the Vaporfly, looking at a trail shoe and trying to bring that super shoe knowledge into the space. The short of it is, this is not a Vaporfly with lugs. This is more like a race invincible. Again, I'll talk more about this in the initial impressions video. But there is some tech in this shoe that I think is super interesting, especially the configuration of the fly plate in the shoe, some of the upper. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. But in the trail community, there's some other interesting shoes. This is the Norda 001, which I'm going to be probably doing a review on in January. Interesting shoe, interesting upper, Vibram, outsole, Vibram midsole. Some interesting stuff here. And again, you come back to Nnormal, interesting stuff here as well. And then there's some other ones. Basically, the trail running shoe space right now is kind of bonkers. People are trying so many different things. They've learned from the road super shoes, and they're trying to integrate that into trail super shoes, ultra racing shoes, shorter distance racing shoes, performance trail running shoes, just a lot of interesting tech. So as a shoe nerd, it's definitely something I want to talk about. Now, I am not going to become a trail channel. The content mix on this channel will probably be about 60% road, 40% trail, or 70% road, 30% trail. I'm still going to be primarily focused on road running. As a runner, that's still where my head's at. I want to do all 6 world major marathons, and I'm still chasing, time on the road for marathon and half marathon racing. I still feel like there's a lot left there for me. But again, I love all running, and I am going to cover trail running more. I do have access to trails behind where I live here in Taipei. I have about 12K of trails. Again, all technical, very rocky, very steep stuff, but really interesting stuff to run on. And I find trail running to be really interesting because you need to approach the trail and figure out like where you're going to go, where your foot's going to go. It's like problem solving. I find that really fascinating. And typically what I would be doing now to build a lot of strength in my legs and my feet was I would be doing hill reps in a shoe like this, or traditionally a streak fly actually. But now I have some really great hills, and I have one Strava segment hill rep segment that's a trail segment that is brutal. It's 400 meters of just uphill, probably about a 12% grade, a little technical, but it's mostly flat, and it's a killer. It's a killer for building mechanics, foot strike, all of the proprioception and ground feel that you get from an amazing trail shoe like this. But it's also just a killer to build, quad strength, glute strength, because I'm running that thing up and down. So it's great. I'm really enjoying trail running. So sorry for you road purists who are not interested in trail. Again, I'm a runner. I think all running shoes are really interesting. There's also a couple other weird shoes I'm going to cover in January, February, Taiwan specific stuff that you'll see what I mean when I get there. But I just love running shoes, and this channel is a place for me to talk about running shoes, and I'm going to talk about running shoes no matter what the surface is they're meant to run on. So there's the first update. That's what I'm really working on. That's what I'm running. Those are the shoes I'm loving right now. Really, I think it's for the first time a really diverse selection of shoes for me. Now, what is coming up in the future? So immediately, January is coming, and we have a couple shoe releases. I think the big one everyone's probably looking forward to is the Adidas Takumi Sen 10. I'm definitely going to be covering that shoe. I think people had the impression that I really didn't like the Takumi Sen 9 from my reviews on this channel. It's not that I didn't like it, I just didn't have a use for it. The Vaporfly 3 was always going to be the faster race shoe for me, a more versatile race shoe. I think the Takumi Sen 9 is a brilliant stripped down race shoe. I don't think it's a trainer. I don't think it's a shoe you train in. If you want an Adidas shoe to train in, you train in this. But I still think it's a great shoe. It's actually gone into my little archive that I have that's mostly Nike carbon plated shoes, Takumi Sen, and an Adios Pro 3 right now. So I am curious what they've done with the Takumi Sen 10 because it doesn't look that much different from the 9. What I'm hoping is that they put the wider last that they used in this shoe and the Adios Pro 3. So if they have a wider, more accommodating fit in the Takumi Sen 10, but essentially it's still the same shoe, that's going to be really interesting. I'm excited. So I'm curious where the Takumi Sen is. I'll definitely try to get a pair as soon as I can. Definitely be covering on this channel. There's a few other shoes that come out in January that we saw at TRE. There's a Solomon shoe, trail shoe that I'm kind of interested, though the fact that I just got this, the Norda 001, this probably will take its place. And then there's a Nnormal shoe that's probably also going to take its place. So I'll be covering the Nnormal Tournier at some point as well. So that's immediately what's coming on the channel in January. Probably January is going to be a lot of Adidas content focused on road and Adidas with the occasional trail thing. And then beyond that for 2024, like I said, the content mix will be 60-40 or 70-30 road trail. And my plan for 2024 at this channel is to continue doing what I'm doing, but I'm going to be more selective about the shoes I review. Last year in 2023, I was really trying to be as broad as I could, cover all of the shoes, especially for Nike, because that's sort of my jam. But for 2024, I'm going to be more selective about the models that I cover, and I'm going to go deeper into those models as far as reviews and comparisons, but I'm going to be broader across more brands. So I put a community post out last week about some shoes I was interested in from TRE. Go check that out, vote in it. Let me know other shoes you're interested in, road or trail. I'm definitely expanding my horizons on the channel for 2024. So you'll see some other brands on here that you haven't seen before and ones that I didn't think I'd ever be reviewing, but you're going to see them on this channel. And as far as the shoes I pick, I'm going to be very deep into the shoes that I review, but I'm going to go across the industry. So like, I'm not going to try to cover every shoe in a line, but I'll still do the rotations and how to look at the lines, because I know a lot of people like the Nike and Adidas ones I did last year. I will be doing an Asics ones this year. I'll probably be doing some other ones through the course of the year. So I'll still be doing that content. And I'll still be talking about shoes I find interesting that I don't want to run in a review. I'll still be doing design analysis and product analysis, deep dive videos on those. And for any other topic, like in 2023, we had the Super Trainer thing, I'll be doing editorial videos where I'll get into that subject, even though I have no interest in running in that shoe. I'll still talk about it from a design and product marketing standpoint. So that's going to continue. Hopefully some of you people have been asking for other brands than what I covered in 2023. You're going to see some of those brands finally on this channel. And hopefully that'll just make more people more interested in all of this content and give the shoes I do talk about more frame of reference. And that's really the goal that I'm trying to do here. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you find this kind of content interesting, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. With that, I'll catch you in the next one.